Let us talk about Jesus as a vampire, Thor, elves, the tree of life, and the tree of souls. If you were Bella from Twilight and you had to choose between the wolf or the vampire, who would you choose? This is an individual reading for Tammy, but if you're here, you're meant to hear this message. Tammy, let's read your piece like a clock. There's a piece of yourself at 12 o'clock with a white horse. You are a speaker of souls. You are birthing new souls. At 1 o'clock, there's a piece of you with your head covered, looking in a mirror with the number 111. You are a quadrupled self that does many things and has many jobs, not just like this reality. So this could be your future self. You are still a speaker of souls or a birther of souls, and there is a castle with a young, pretty little fairy at 5 o'clock. There's a dog or a wolf around 5 o'clock as well. You are also in a boat. In the boat, there is a owl and another wolf or dog above the owl. There's an owl above your head, and the people in the boat are little, and you're very large. The boat looks like the head of a man, and this has many meanings. There are elves at 7 o'clock. There's the name Thor at 6 o'clock. Someone's holding the letter T, like the name Thor, at 7 o'clock as well. Everyone is wearing head protection, and everyone is getting ready for something significant to happen. The water behind you, the souls behind you, the horse behind you, the smoke, all makes what looks like a tidal wave. We are in the year of the water rabbit, and this white color is about the purification of our soul. Not just our soul, the purification of our knowledge, stepping into truth, the lifting of the veil, and learning to make ourselves tiny and small like the people in the boat, so that we are not seen or detained by the dark ones. We are learning to shed our ego and shed all that is false so that we become as white as snow, and we shrink and become small and as light as a feather, or as light as a bird, or as light as an object that can go through the eye of the needle. Now, the boat represents the eye of the needle and also represents a tree that has been cut. And so these souls and the trees are all speaking of an ancient story, and we're going to get into some things that seem very suspicious, and I'm not saying I'm right, but let us get into these symbologies, and you can ask your higher self if it applies to you. The owl is like a watcher. It's connected to the vampire. It's wisdom. It's a predator. The dog, the wolf, is an earthbound creature that cannot fly. It is the Gentile. And you are at a precipice or a time in your life where you're having to choose, like Bella, whether you want to be powerful and reincarnate, or whether you want to be like a vampire and live forever. So Jesus told a woman who begged him to heal her daughter, to please heal my daughter. And he said, "It is not right to give food for the children of dogs." He literally called this woman a dog. When we look into the many different mythologies and religions, it becomes clear that gods like Christ are either immortal or live thousands of years. What is rarely mentioned is the fact that in ancient religious texts, there is reference to their immortality and longevity being connected to a specific kind of food that only the gods are allowed to eat. If mortals ate this food, they could become immortal like the gods. Ambrosia was the food of the gods. Ambrosia, according to my studies, is blood. So the food of the gods is blood, and blood is what Jesus said, "Drink my blood and live forever." Ambrosia is also known as the blood of Zeus, and you have the letter Z on your forehead. To have the blood of Zeus is to be the original Adam and Eve, the androgynous one who never died. Before Eve was cut from Adam, there was no death. You are in a canoe that looks like the eye of the needle. In order to get through the eye of the needle, you have to become small, like the people in your boat. The man that is your boat is the patriarch of this male-dominated world. And you're being given the opportunity to kind of shift into the female world, the matriarch, the goddess. So this story of ambrosia and blood and drinking blood takes us to Norse mythology with Ragnarok and the blood of Zeus and the war of the gods called the twilight of the gods. And this is connected to Thor, which you have the name Thor and the word anchor with Thor there. And so the anchor may be an allegory of you being earthbound as the wolf or not as the vampire or the immortal god. So the movie Twilight and the twilight of gods that is connected to Norse mythology and Ragnarok is the movie Twilight. And it's an actual story. It's an actual story of a battle of the gods between dogs, wolves, and gods and the immortals. If you choose to become immortal, there are rules. And I will explain these rules. And if you choose to reincarnate, there are also rules for that option. According to your symbologies, your gift, if you become immortal, is you are a tree of souls or a speaker of souls. To be in a boat is to be in a tree. And they say that human beings come from trees, and we'll talk about that. So this battle of the twilight of the gods is a true story of Twilight. So there is a connection between Norse mythology and Christianity. If you really look into it, there is only one God. They just get split up into different stories, told in different ways. Trees are considered sacred in many cultures. They were worshipped, and universally, they have been worshipped by peoples in every corner of the globe. The world tree is said to dwell in 3 worlds. And the Mayan people and many other cultures believe that the human soul came from trees. In Irish and English folklore, fairies and elves were found wherever ash and oak and hawthorn trees grew together. You have fairies and elves in your piece near your boat. In India, they celebrated the birth of little girls by planting 111 trees. So you have a piece of your soul. It looks like when you quadruple yourself, you've gone through a rebirth, so you've doubled yourself, but you will go through a quadrupling where you will do many things. And there's you looking in a mirror with the number 111. The guff. The guff is a tree, the tree of souls or the treasury of souls. It's located in the 7th heaven. And this is connected to you because you have new souls coming out of your mouth. This tree of souls blossoms and produces new souls, which falls into the guff, the treasury of souls. Gabriel reaches into the treasury and takes out the first soul that comes into into his hand. And then Layla, the angel of conception, watches over the embryo until it's born. Isn't it strange that you're looking in a mirror that has 111, like the 111 trees, and you are birthing souls? According to Rabbi Isaac, the trees are resting places for souls. Sparrows can see the soul's descent. And the guff, the tree of souls, is often described as a birdhouse. The mystic significance of the guff is that each person is important and has a unique role. Even a newborn baby brings the Messiah closer by simply being born. So that you are birthing new souls is a very prominent energy or gift for you to have. The treasury of souls is known as the body of the primordial man, the Adam. The Adam was androgynous, an androgynous being, both male and female, that self-impregnated like Jesus' mother. They did not copulate. They were like vampires, and you drink their blood and you live forever. According to the Kabbalah, every human soul is just a fragment of the one world soul. So there is one God, and we are all fragments of that God, living in lower and higher realms, experiencing different life cycles. Watch this video that I made about Christ representing the vampire.
Our original form was both Adam and Eve, Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The original vampire had two souls because they were androgynous, both male and female. To drink the blood of an androgynous being is to live forever. This is why Jesus said, "Drink my blood and live forever." When you were cut from your Adam or Eve, this created pain.
This is an ancient book from 430 BCE, and it explained the story of Judas. Judas was given 30 pieces of silver, and Judas was racked with guilt and he hung himself. Well, the book of Aluga relates that God revived Judas and cursed him to walk the earth for the rest of his days, fearing the sun and living on blood. Jesus told his disciples to eat my flesh and drink my blood as evidence of their devotion to him and his mission. Jesus' words were controversial, even among his hearers, and later Romans and other pagans accused the early Christians of cannibalism. If you think about it, Cain and Abel makes the word cannibal. But I wanted to see if there were vampire stories from Armenia, since I know that Christ, the original Christ, was named Mithra from Armenia. This is the word ark, Armenia. And the ark actually landed in Armenia. And sure enough, there are vampires all over Armenia and near Turkey and Iran, and of course Transylvania. It makes you wonder what Jesus meant by becoming fishers of men, because vampires drink blood. And Jesus said, if you don't hate your brother, your mother, your sister, even your own life, you can't follow him to the kingdom of heaven. Why should we hate them? Why does he call people dogs? Why did he hate the Gentiles enough to call them a dog? I think because we have to realize that this world is really corrupt. And we can either play along, you can't beat them, join them kind of mentality. Or we have to give up everything, including ourselves, in order to become immortal and do some wonderful, great, incredible things with our gifts and our talents. In order to get through the eye of the needle, we have to become nothing. We have to become small. There are many tiny little people in your boat, and you need to become small too. We need to adopt the female aspect of ourselves. You are in the mind of a male energy, and this male-dominated boat is the atom, the tree, the boat. And you have this female that is birthing new souls aspect of yourself. This is your greatest gift that you have not stepped into because it's in your future. But according to the right side of the page, you're going to be doing many things, including planting new trees. 111 trees doesn't reflect planting trees. It reflects making new souls. A tree is a soul. So it's not time to do great things in this world. It's time to make ourselves invisible. When we become illuminated and we let go of our self-importance or our low self-worth, and we let go of worry, and we erase or obliviate our past through recapitulation, we become nothing. And when we become nothing, we become everything. And we become invisible, and we can do amazing things. We are not led by our ego or our animal instincts. We can now drink from the elixir of life. Whether this is an allegory or whether there actually are vampires, I don't know. But the owl is the vampire and the dog is the wolf. And you're Bella, and you're being pulled from one side or the other, saying, no, come back to the earth, come back. Enjoy your human life, enjoy this. And then you have another beckoning saying, no, let it go, let it go. And become immortal by shifting to a brand new way of life and living that is behind the scenes and has a longer lifespan, if not immortal. When we have inner resistances or inner conflicts, this is how we are visible to others. Having no inner resistance means that we are invisible. And invisibility is freedom. We are in the world, but we are not lost to it, not lost to the world. We do not connect with the world through drama or conflict. Invisibility is not nothing, quite the opposite. Invisibility is everything. The white rabbit and the white peacock in your piece reflects being invisible. The white horse represents being invisible. Invisibility is pure. It is the divine essence of all that is. It is all knowledge and all wisdom, like the owl. Invisibility might lead you to time jump or shift realities. Invisibility is the eternal witness, the silent teacher. And so I think we talked about it in the live that invisibility is like the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter. But in order to become invisible and tiny, we have to recapitulate our past, breathe back our power, and basically erase our past. Erase the very memory of it, who we were and everyone attached to it. It's a ruthless behavior of erasing it and leaving that world behind in order to do great things. It's a saying goodbye. It's sad. You can choose to stay here with the wolves, or you can choose to go with you can call it Christ consciousness if you want to, if you don't want to call him a vampire. But it is a ruthless vampire way of being, because Jesus said he said a man is like a tree. He said, you know a man like the fruit of his tree. And any man that bears no fruit should be cut down and thrown into the fire. And so there are some allegories of this ruthlessness of these cold-hearted vampires and how they treat dogs, the wolves. They treat them harshly and actually use the word hate. Why hate? I think hate because there are people here who are incredibly selfish and who ruthlessly hurt children and animals and are heartless and unconscionable. How is it possible for a normal human being to kidnap J.C. Dugard, an 11-year-old girl, and do all the horrible things that they did to her for 18 years and then just go to prison for it, and those two people who kidnapped that little girl and did all those things to her, they're sitting in jail reading the Bible. These people are religious and they hide behind religion and they're despicable and they have despicable behavior. I don't know. Doing the research about Christ kind of freaked me out because of some of the things that I found, digging deep. But it doesn't matter. what I'm seeing in your piece is that you have the Zeus blood. So you have the immortal blood. It's in your spirit, and it's your destiny to be a tree of souls and to be more than you and to do many things. Planting new souls like new trees. And I don't know exactly how that manifests in your future, but I'm sure you'll find out soon enough. People in your piece are wearing head coverings. The manipulation and the mind manipulation is getting crazy. The positive ions, the 5G, all of that, it's getting pretty serious. So we need to protect our heads, connect with negative ions, do a lot of groundwork, connect with trees. Go out and hug a tree, go talk to a tree. You're going to be a tree of souls anyway. There's a soul inside of a tree. Go talk to one. And start connecting with your higher self. But diminish yourself. You need to be invisible. Wear the invisibility cloak and make yourself as tiny as possible. No emotions, no beliefs. Just stay centered and stay focused on your double self. This is your born again self. Your born again self that can do many great things. Greater is spirit within you than you are in the world. And maybe it's your double self that's the vampire or the immortal being. I don't even know. I just know that things are changing, and that wave above you, like a wave, and the water, it's a tidal wave. It's huge. There's huge changes coming in the world. So please study all of this, study all the symbologies, and study what I told you, and know that there's great things meant for you, but you do need to, at this time, be as tiny as the people that are in your boat. Become invisible. I think we're all kind of in that same boat, trying to make ourselves as invisible as possible and not thinking the worst or not thinking of people we shouldn't be thinking about. We need to watch our thoughts at this time. Thank you, Tammy, for what you have to teach us about the vampire and the wolf. So what are you going to choose, Bella? And how old was Bella when she changed into a vampire? Let's see. Harry Potter was 12 when he left the Muggles. Bella was 18 when she went into the vampire. Is this an allegory? I don't know. But I do appreciate this and what I learned. I will continue to contemplate it a bit further. If you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com.